Okay guys, I thought I'd show you the Dwarven Forge setup that I put together for the Keep on the Shadowfell. This is actually Shadowfell Keep level 1, as you can see right here. And I have done my best to replicate that using the Dwarven Forge miniatures, or Dwarven Forge terrain pieces. So this here is Keep on the Shadowfell level 1. I'll take a quick look. In fact, if you'll notice here, we've got some torches going, flickering, if you can see them. I'm actually going to try something out. I'm going to turn off the light and see what we can see with these interesting torches. So as you can see here, the torches, which are mainly in the goblin section, look pretty interesting. They look pretty good. And it was Jan Solo who put them together. So let's kind of take a quick peek at the dungeon here. Begin with the entrance area, which is right there. And over here to some of the supply rooms. Now, unfortunately, I do not have curtains, and these firewalls I'm using for curtains. I think I'm going to have to hook up with Tom, and I believe he has a friend of his or colleague of his who has put together some various different alternative terrain sets that are very similar to Dwarven Forge, including a Dwarven terrain set that I think has heavy curtains, but unfortunately the website's not in English, so I'm having a bit of a hard time figuring out how the heck I go about ordering some of his stuff. But since I do not have curtain pieces, I was forced to use the fire pieces, as you can see here. So just to show you here, I know it's a little grainy. I'm going to actually light it up just a little bit. Ooh, not too much. With the light on my camera. And so you saw the entrance area, which is right here. And then you look over here, and that's one of the first barracks area. There's a supply room right there. And go over here, and this is actually where the party currently is. They just started. And as you can see, there's a dwarf warrior, and you've got a priestess and a rogue, and they are making their way. See if I can zoom in a little bit. Nope. Making their way down this tunnel. They'll be going to the torture chamber, which is right here, and as you can see that there's a lot of pieces in the torture chamber. It's a little sloppy right here. Keep it a little tighter. And by the way, these pieces were painted by the talented Jan Solo. As you can see there. Jan Solo also did these flickering torch effects, which are pretty neat. A little bit on the pricey side to get them, but they're quite neat, and not all of them work. You probably get about an 85% hit rate on them when you order them. But when they do work, they look good, as you can see here. And here is Wicked Editions 3, used for the cells here in the torture chamber. And I'll just kind of go through dungeon here. Another supply room. And then if you go down, you'll notice that you go down into this kind of maze area where we have some more undead with some of the runes, explosive runes. And there's a secret treasure chamber right there. And see, that goes down to the second floor right there. And over here is where the Goblin Lair Chieftain actually hangs out around here. He's actually in this chamber right here, behind this heavy curtain. Looks like fire. And that's a supply room. And then you go down here, all the way to the excavation room, which is where these foolish goblins are searching for treasure, which it really isn't there. And then, of course, there are the caverns down here. You meet a bunch of rats here at the entranceway. You can go over here. I think there's a blue, if I recall correctly, it's like a blue slime in there. And over here are the, I think they're called the Crithics. I have to refresh my memory, but that's their lair. It's been a while. And again, this is the Cavern Complex, right? Go up. I tried to do 3D leveling using these black boards. And the Terranscape made these black boards for me. They're compatible with the Terranscape board, so I found them quite useful. You know, they're not cheap, so you might want to think of other alternatives, but I found them useful, particularly since they're compatible with the Terranscape stuff. Here is where the Undead Knight, you know, it's been so long that I have forgotten a lot of details. The adventure I haven't played in the last, I don't know, about 6-7 weeks due to various things in my life, so I've forgotten a lot of the details of the dungeon, so forgive me if I'm a little inaccurate. But here is the tomb area where you will meet the Undead Knight who haunts these halls. As you can see here, these are all a bunch of sarcophagus, if I recall correctly. A bunch of skeletons kind of pop out of those. Entrance chamber, and again, this is the maze area. All right. And that's pretty much it. So, nothing to compare. It's not as comparable to the wonderful layouts of Tom and Dwarf and I believe Kronos, but it works. A little big for a table, but let me turn on the lights again. And you guys get an overall look of it. And let me lower this. This is the light on the camera. Here's my DM screens and folders for the different players. So, hope you guys enjoyed that. One last thing, just so you guys check out these DM screens, are quite handy and useful. You can put the minis on them in the back. This is the DM screen that's available. I think it's called the Ultimate DM screen. Pretty handy. And this here's the Collector's Edition DM screen that is no longer available. Probably find it on eBay. It's not cheap though. But it's quite nice. I mean, it's a little different than the other one. So you'll notice here, these are two different DM screens. And they're both made by GeForce 9, made out of resin. Okay, take it easy, guys.